Well, good evening, folks, my fellow Americans. Welcome to the second live episode of A Quiet Rage. Uh, I don't have a topic in mind necessarily for the evening, and I've not done this in this manner before. Here we go. So the chat is open. We're kind of gonna wait for a few more people to show up. We got one so far. Hello, welcome. Glad to have you. There's certainly never a shortage of things to talk about when it comes to the president of these United States, our president, Donald Trump. He's always up to something, flooding the zone as we were told he was going to do. And certainly that was, I don't think anybody was surprised by that. Shouldn't have been. I am still recovering a bit from a head cold, so apologies to the whole one of you that's here so far. I'll be quite a bit. I'll try to wet the whistle and not do that as much as I can. I didn't research anything. I don't have anything ready to go. I've got a couple topics on my mind. But we'll see how that goes. My Roomba just came to life in the other room, so we don't need that. What do you want to talk about? You got something? My one person? Nothing yet? Okay. I know there were a few people that responded, that liked or commented on my posts saying that this was going to happen. So hopefully a couple will be joining at some point. Otherwise, we'll just stare awkwardly into each other's eyes. I am doing this on my iPad, which is ancient. Excuse me. And badly in need of just being replaced. If I keep doing these, at some point I might upgrade my equipment. I don't know. So I normally shoot actually on a GoPro. This guy right here, I just set it up in front of me. It works, does the job. But I don't, if there's a way to do a live through the GoPro and get the normal shot with the loose lip sync ship poster there too, I'm not sure what that is, so sometime, maybe later, we'll figure that out. Am I able to see who's here? No, doesn't look like I can. And of course, this being alive, and now that the Roomba in the other room made noise, now both dogs are up and moving around. So hopefully that doesn't mean that they're going to come in here and start playing tug of war and making a lot of noise. Because we don't need that in the background. Greetings. Hello, Noel. right, 2 of you. Great. We've doubled our audience. Hooray! Somebody did ask me if we were going to talk about the big beautiful bill. That's not what I was going to say, but we can table that. Yeah, do you have a question about the big beautiful bill, or a point you want to make, or for me to elaborate on, perhaps? So I know that this big beautiful bill passed the House. It still has to go to the Senate, and who knows? Who knows how that's going to go? The Senate is, of course, historically, they refer to themselves as the cooling saucer in which legislation sits. The Senate historically has been much more deliberate in their movement of legislation, passage of legislation. So what passed the House? Let's see. Again, I didn't prep anything for this episode. I kind of wanted to just see where it went. So let's just Google One Big Beautiful Bill Act and see what comes up. One Big Beautiful Act. Oh, it's right there on congress.gov. HR 1. The 119th Congress. Let's see. Short title. This act may be cited as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. I mean, just right from the start, like, I'm reminded of the absolute inability of anyone in the Trump administration to actually take anything seriously. If any other president, and I hate doing this, I really do. I did it in the last episode, and I hate doing it because it just there are definitely some ways in which I want to compare Trump to previous presidents. But there are other ways and other situations in which comparing him to other presidents is just not... It just doesn't work. Oh, here come the dogs. Hello, children. Are you going to be quiet? This is Bandit. Say hi, Bandit. He's got his rope toy. Bella's a little shorter. You can't really see her. She's down there. There's her tail. There she is. Yeah, who's a pretty girl. Okay. You guys play quietly. Not gonna happen. Anyway. Hey, please don't. Please, I beg of you. This is not gonna work. But there are times when you just can't avoid saying, if any other president did this, people would be lighting their hair on fire. Especially people on the right side of the political spectrum. Bandit! Sir, please don't. You're very loud when you play with the rope toy. Please don't. I should have just shut the door so they couldn't come in here. Anyway, too late. They're here. So, yeah. Detailing what is in this bill is, I think, going to be kind of difficult. I do know, let me narrow down narrow down my search. I don't want the whitehouse.gov answer. I certainly know that. Where to go? What to do here? So one of the things, here's one thing we do know. Bandit, stop, please. The one big beautiful bill extends the tax cuts, the Trump tax cuts from the first Trump presidency, which apparently people on the left, or people on the right rather, have a short memory, because there goes Bandit. Because the Trump tax cuts didn't help the regular humans. They helped rich people. They were good for rich people. Okay, time out. I'm gonna put the dogs in the other room because it's just not gonna work otherwise. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves. Chat, you know. Come here. Come here, you. Out you go. Out you go. Come on. Okay. We'll see how long that lasts. Hi, chat. We're down to 2 again, unfortunately. So, yeah, the tax cuts from Trump version 1, Trump round 1. They're all coming back apparently. I do know it's going to remove potentially hundreds of thousands of people from programs like SNAP and Medicaid, which I can't help but think back to I think it was a State of the Union. Yeah, it was a State of the Union address by President Joe Biden, in which he mentioned that there were some people in Congress, Republicans in Congress, who wanted to make cuts to Medicare and Medicaid, and they screamed at him. And how dare you, Mr. President, how dare you accuse us of wanting to cut Medicaid? And he said, oh, great, so you don't want to do that, so that's off the table, right? Glad to hear it. Remember that? Do you remember when that happened? I do. And here we are. There are cuts to Medicaid in this one big beautiful bill. It's such a stupid... I mean, you could name... No one remembers. You could name a bill in Congress just about anything you wanted to. And then the man who has all the best words, remember? Names it one big beautiful bill, and we go with that because the Trump administration and the Republicans who back him are not serious people. That's all there is to that. Noel, did you have a specific anything other than what I've already talked about the one big beautiful bill that you had in mind? Again, I don't know what I want to look up here. Oh, here we go. Taxfoundation.org. The good, the bad, and the ugly in the one big beautiful bill. Who is taxfoundation.org? I'm not familiar with them. The good. The bill makes some smart tax cuts and revenue increases. Okay. The bad. Rather than making the most pro-growth features permanent, the bill spends far too much money on political gimmicks and carve-outs, resulting in a package that provides a modest boost to the economy but at a huge fiscal cost. I have seen, there was a graph that laid out the, I should have saved it, I could have shown it, but no tax on tips. Yes, that is something that is in there. But I saw a graph, and again I should have saved it so I could refer back to it. But it showed the economic impact in large numbers over the next, I think it was 10 years, of this bill, according to fiscal experts, people that know things. And over the next like 4 years, 3 to 4 years, it's all good things, but then it tails off quickly right about the time Trump's going to be leaving office, in theory, and then just craters after that into huge deficits, which so it's going to be somebody else's problem, I guess, is the idea. So yeah, that's good. The bad, the ugly. The bill further complicates the tax code in several ways, sending taxpayers through a maze of new rules and compliance costs that in many cases probably outweigh any potential tax benefits. No tax on tips, overtime, and car loans comes with various conditions and guardrails that, if enacted, will likely require hundreds of pages of IRS guidance to interpret. So this brings up a good point. Because it's, I don't know if you could even call it the law of unintended consequences, which is it is the worst bugaboo of politics, is the law of unintended consequences. Because you can't really fully get your hands around all of the potential fallout from a new law that is enacted. You can try, you can do research, you can do focus groups, you can try and figure out ahead of time what are the impacts that this bill is going to have if it becomes law. One thing that's not hard to figure out is that if you cut the staff of, say, the Internal Revenue Service at all, that the service provided to the American people, which I don't know about you, but if I'm having a tax issue, if I need to call somebody, I would like the phone lines to be well staffed, right? I would like smart people who've been doing this for a long time to be available to answer my questions, to assist me. So I don't understand why Trump / Doge think that cutting the staff of the IRS is going to improve anything whatsoever. It's because it's not. You don't even have to wonder what the unintended consequences of that are going to be. Service in time and in quality is going to plummet. That's all there is to it. So there's that. The bill also adds something called MAGA accounts. What's this then? This bill also adds something called MAGA accounts, or money accounts for growth and advancement. An entirely new type of incentive that includes a $1,000 baby bonus for children born over the next 4 years, courtesy of the taxpayers. So, okay, we're gonna take away SNAP. We're going to, anytime anybody talks about trying to provide free or low cost lunches at school, we're gonna, no, we don't, nothing about that. Universal pre-K, um, improve paternity and maternity leave. No, 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 no. We're not going to do any of that. But I tell you what, moms and dads, we'll give you a solid grand if you pop out another kid. How about that? Like, what? Honestly, $1,000. Tell me if I'm wrong, parents out there. $1,000 is not. I mean, it'll help, but I don't think if $1,000 is convincing you to have another child or to have a child or another child, whatever, uh, that doesn't. That math isn't mathing for me. I'm sorry to say. Um, how about if we make it easier once you've had the child? How about we make it easier for you to provide for that child? How about if we make it easier for you to send that child to a good school and eat meals when they're at said school and not be bullied when they're at, well, bullying, that's, we can get, there's only so much we can do. A month of daycare, sure, yeah, but that's I've seen many times in my life. Ooh, I didn't catch that last. Hold on. What did you say? How do I don't know. I didn't see that last comment. Sorry. Um, I can remember back to like when I was in high school, when I delivered newspapers as a high school kid. I remember seeing, and I've seen it a couple times a year, it seems like, for my entire adult life, somebody makes a political cartoon wherein a Republican is saying to an expectant mother, "How dare you even consider abortion?" or something like that. You know, you gotta make sure that that baby is born healthy. And then in the very next panel, the the baby is born, the mother is holding the child, and she says, I can't afford to keep this, I can't afford food for this child that I, you know. And the Republican says, well, fuck off. That's your problem. Figure it out. And I, for the longest time, I thought that's incredibly unfair. That is an unfair caricature of what Republicans must actually be like. Like, certainly they're not as callous as that. I have been disabused of that opinion. I think that's exactly how callous some Republicans certainly are. Excuse me. There's one YouTube uh, personality. He's a left leaning guy, much like myself, and I wish I could come up with his name off the top of my head, but I can't. He loves to go to protests and to town hall meetings. He has trolled Moms for Liberty at town hall meetings. He's he's pretended to be Republican, conservative, and gone around with a bullhorn at protests, yelling, saying the quiet part out loud, and he had some people be really angry with him. But one of my favorite videos of his, he goes to a protest, a pro-life protest. I don't know if it was outside of an abortion clinic or if it was just a protest on the street. But he went there with stacks of adoption applications, and he's got somebody else with a video camera following him, and he's going up to people in the crowd and saying, "Hey, yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. Let's make sure these kids are born." And no one knows who I'm talking about. And he says, "I got these. I got a whole stack of these adoption applications. Here, you want to fill one out? I brought I got plenty for everybody." Nobody wants to fill one out. Nobody, and some people get mad at him, like, "That's not what we're here for." What are you here for? You're here just to force other people to have babies. You don't care about them once they're born. You don't want to provide any sort of safety net for them once they're born. You just want them to be born. Whether the parents can actually support the child or not, that's not the least of your worries. That's not even on your radar or being something that you're worried about. So yeah, I no longer, well, yeah, you might be right about that. They do, yes, yeah. They want to punish. That is the other thing. They want to punish women. You should just keep your leg. Should have just kept your legs shut. And now that you're pregnant, you just have to deal with the consequences. Why is it only the women that have to deal with the consequences? I mean, it takes two to tango, right? Where's the no, I've never read My Abortion is the Only Moral Abortion, but I could maybe guess what that is getting at. Is it I'm guessing it's a one of those rules for thee but not for me situations? That just based on the title, that's what I'm guessing. I should well, okay. I don't know that I can do it right now, right? And it was, so we'll all go read that later. I was kind of hoping that you want me to read it right now on the stream? Okay, well, let me, hold on. Is it that short? What is it? My abortion is the only moral abortion? Was that what it was? Only my abortion is a moral. Okay. Please hold. Joyce Arthur's page? Is that what you're talking about? The only moral abortion is my abortion? Well, I'll read the first little bit and we'll see how it goes. Let's see, this was written, titled, "The Only Moral Abortion is My Abortion. When the Anti-Choice Choose" is the subtitle. Okay, so I'm already, we're headed in the direction I think we are. The rules for thee, but not for me, people. Published September of 2000 by Joyce Arthur. Here we go. Abortion is a highly personal decision that many women are sure they'll never have to think about until they're suddenly faced with an unexpected pregnancy. Yeah. But this can happen to anyone, including women who are strongly anti-choice. So what does an anti-choice woman do when she experiences an unwanted pregnancy herself? Often, she will grin and bear it, so to speak, but frequently, she opts for the solution she would deny to other women: abortion. In the spring of 2000, I collected the following anecdotes directly from abortion doctors and other clinic staff in North America, Australia, and Europe. The stories are presented in the provider's own words with minor editing for grammar, clarity, and brevity. Names have been omitted to protect privacy. Okay, here's the first one from a physician in Australia. I had done several abortions on women who have regularly picketed my clinics, including a 16-year-old schoolgirl who came back to picket the day after her abortion about 3 years ago. During her whole stay at the clinic, she felt that she was not quite right, but we felt that she was not quite right, but there were no real warning bells. She insisted that the abortion was her idea and assured us that all was okay. We went through the procedure very smoothly and was discharged without problem. She went through the procedure very smoothly and was discharged with no problems. A quite routine operation. Next morning, she was with her mother and several schoolmates in front of the clinic with the usual anti-posters and chants. It appears that she got the abortion she needed and still displayed the appropriate anti-views expected of her by her parents, teachers, and peers. Well, that's just tragic. That's clearly a child living a double life, which is, yeah, that's tragic. Here's another one from a physician in Texas. I've had several cases over the years in which the anti-abortion patient had rationalized in one way or another that her case was the only exception, that the one that really made an impression, but the one that really made an impression was the college senior who was the president of her campus Right to Life organization, meaning that she had worked very hard in that organization for several years. Yeah, to be the president, you'd have to. As I was completing her procedure, I asked what she planned to do about her high office in the Right to Life organization. Her response was a wide-eyed, "You're not going to tell them, are you?" When assured that I was not, she breathed a sigh of relief, explaining how important that position was to her and how she wouldn't want this to interfere with it. Again, if she's a senior in college, she's, what, 23? 22, 23? Again, this is a young lady living a double life. That is okay. Let's do one more. Clinic escort in Massachusetts. In 1990, in the Boston area, Operation Rescue and other groups were regularly blockading the clinics and many of us went every Saturday afternoon for months to help women and staff get in. As a result, we knew many of the antis we face. One morning, a woman who had been a regular sidewalk counselor went into the clinic with a young woman who looked like she was 16 to 17, and obviously her daughter. When the mother came out about an hour later, I had to go up and ask if her daughter's situation had caused her to change her mind. I don't expect you to understand my daughter's situation, she angrily replied. The following Saturday, she was back, pleading with women entering the clinic not to murder their babies. Yeah, that is some mental gymnastics right there. And she's absolutely right that the person asking her the question, does this change your mind, has no idea what has happened with the daughter. Why the daughter is being brought to this clinic for an abortion. It, I mean, maybe her steady boyfriend, her high school boyfriend of a similar age of consent got her pregnant. Maybe it was a case of rape or incest. You don't know. But that is what one of the things that really frustrates me about uh, the anti-abortion, the pro-birth crowd is that for a lot of them, there is no middle ground. There's no gray area. It is a black and white issue, and that is oversimplifying a very complex issue, and one that will affect the young lady, the young mother, in profound ways. Yeah, the empathy gap. You're absolutely right. I've said many times before. I talked about this a little bit in a previous episode. Um, if it were up to me, abortions would be three things: safe, well, first, legal, safe, because legal abortions are safe abortions. Illegal abortions happen in back alleys and with unsafe, unsavory characters. I mean, we made movies about this in the '80s. Like, abortion should be legal, safe, and rare. But a fourth thing that's very important: not up to you, not up to me, up to the person who is pregnant and their doctor. Those are the only two people that need to be involved in that decision. It would be nice if the father was involved, but you're assuming that the father is a person of at least average moral standing, morality. Uh, you're assuming that the father is not the type of person that is going to demand that his child be born. I've known a couple of people like that. I served in the Navy with a guy. He and I became very good friends, and then became not. I haven't spoken to him in years, because the more I got to know him, the more I understood how he was actually not a very good person. And one of the things that really clued me in that he was not a good person was when he talked about an ex-wife of his who had aborted a pregnancy without telling him. And he only found out about it afterwards. And he would... We only ever talked about this when it was just the two of us usually hanging out at my house. It's not the kind of thing you talk about at work. So it was normally, after a few adult beverages, and he would get, his fists would clench and his face would get red, and he would be physically, visibly angry at this woman who at least 3-4 years ago, at that point, had aborted a pregnancy and dared not to consult him first. He would get very, very angry, and that was one of the things I was like, oh man, I don't want to have to make excuses for myself why I'm still hanging out with this person, because that's not healthy. So you're assuming, if the father is in the room for this conversation about whether or not this pregnancy is going to be aborted, you're assuming that the father is not that guy, because that guy is not reasonable. That guy should not be involved in that conversation at all, because he is approaching it from purely a emotional position. He's not thinking pragmatically about this situation in the least. Okay. Yeah, I'll read the rest of that, I think, at a later date. But let's see. I wish I could see. Well, I'm gonna try not to shake the iPad at all. Why can't? So I can see that there are 3 people here, but I can't see who you are. A light concern? What do you mean? Hello again. Man, 45 minutes already. So I was hoping that the guy, a legit concern. You're saying my concern about having that guy as my friend was legit, I'm guessing. I was hoping that a classmate of mine, high school classmate of mine, commented on. I posted this on Facebook that this was going to be happening, and he asked if I was going to be talking about let's see, what did he say? Let me find the post. Excuse me. He asked, will the cover-up of Joe Biden's mental capacity and health problems with the right to her own body, father should have a voice? Yeah, father should have a voice, but again, you're assuming that he's a reasonable person. An unreasonable person, somebody who's that emotional about something like that, maybe doesn't need to be in the room. It's it's not an easy. It's not an easy thing, certainly, and I don't. We could we could debate who's going to be in the room for that decision. We could debate that until any number of cows come home. Anyway, so my high school classmate, he commented on my Facebook post, will the cover up of Joe Biden's, yes, it is mental, the cover up of Joe Biden's mental capacity and health problems be on the list of topics, or are we keeping it Trump related? I feel like the father's opinion can be heard, but they don't have the physical danger of having the kid. Yeah, that's absolutely true. A a a mother carrying a child, carrying a fetus, their bodies are physically altered during the pregnancy, especially if the pregnancy is taken to term. Their hips, the shape of their hips changes, their pelvic bone changes. Um, Women lose teeth because of calcium deficiencies. They lose their hair. There's mental, there's baby brain is a thing where their brain is not receiving enough nutrients, and it starts to negatively affect their cognitive abilities. And it vary. It's not the same from one mother to the next. You broke your mom's rib. Yeah, I mean, these things happen. There are any number of physical and mental and emotional changes that a mother can experience. If the mother is Rh negative and her child is Rh positive, the changes in the mother antibody. Yeah, it's again. These are things that us menfolk are largely oblivious to, which is unfortunate. Men should have a better understanding of women and how their bodies work. The refusing to understand is another example of weaponized incompetence, which menfolk are guilty of to far too high of a degree. And it's quite often, I mean, just the general public, we gloss over the fact that most expectant mothers don't announce their pregnancy until towards the end of the first trimester, the beginning of the second trimester, because if something is going to go wrong with the pregnancy, it's most likely to go wrong in the first trimester. The number of women who have had a miscarriage early in the pregnancy is 100%. Yeah, probably. There's a good chance of that. It's way higher than the general public ever. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're agreeing with me. Okay, I get it. And I wish, I kind of wish that pregnant people would announce as soon as they know, announce it to everybody. And then when/if they have a miscarriage, which happens naturally all the time for myriad reasons, that they then tell people so that we could get more used to the fact that this happens. Because we as a society, we just pretend, those that know don't talk about it very much and pretend that it doesn't, so those that don't know are oblivious. And when something like this is brought up, people push. What are you talking about? I don't know of 5 women in my life that have had a miscarriage, sir. Yes, you do. Or you know them, but they just haven't told you. Which is, again, it's very common that they don't, and doctors recommend don't announce anything to your friends and family, because friends and family start attaching their own emotions to. Yes, that's another good point. Yeah, we do far too often look at a miscarriage as some sort of failure on the mother's part, that they clearly did something wrong, which, yes, can be the case, but is not always the case. Quite frequently is not. Yes, Mr. Spoon, but you are better than average. Not everybody's as good as you. And I mean that sincerely. You're a better man than most. So yeah, people start to attach their own emotions to somebody else's pregnancy, and then when you tell them that you've had a miscarriage for whatever reason, yeah, there is unfortunately a stigma to it. Um, People assume that you did something wrong when pregnancies end in miscarriage, as I said, for myriad reasons. Most of them for natural reasons. There's some sort of developmental issue with that particular fetus, and the the body knows that something is wrong, and the pregnancy is miscarried. But yeah, the stigma is definitely a big issue. Yeah, yeah, another good point. Women have miscarriages without even knowing it. They just think it's a heavy period, and don't even necessarily know that they were pregnant. And yeah, this all comes back to one, punishing women for either for promiscuous activity that is, you know, you brought this upon yourself, or the stigma of a miscarriage, that you must have done something wrong, and that's not more overwhelmingly, that is not the case. Again, I kind of wish my classmate was here to ask the Joe Biden uh, mental issues question. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's power over having power over women. The the patriarchy doesn't like having its. No, you don't need to pretend to be my classmate. The patriarchy loves to perpetuate its own power. I mean, any group of people that is in power likes to stay there, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a conspiracy spoken out loud. I forget the line from George Carlin where he was talking about it's not a. He was on a late night talk show, might have been the Jim Cavett show, when he was talking about it doesn't need to be a conspiracy where everybody gets in a room and says, okay, you're going to do this and you're going to do that and I'm going to do this, and the combined effort of that is going to be blah. Everybody can every member of the patriarchy, every arm of the patriarchy can do its own thing to subjugate women, to punish women, and keep them in their place. And the overall effect is keeping women in their place. In their place. It doesn't have to be organized for it to work. It doesn't have to be planned for it to work. And unfortunately, there are women who think that if they support the patriarchy, that they will be spared in some way, or they can, they will benefit as well, and perpetuate. We call it a pick-me girl, the kids call it that. Yeah, exactly. That, yeah, perpetuating the patriarchy. There are women that think that it's going to benefit them, and it might in the short term, but in the long run, and honestly, everyone is victimized by it, to varying degrees, because if you exclude 50%, yes, men too. If you exclude 50% of the population from anything, it's only going to be half as good as it could be. I mean, who discovered X-rays? That was a woman. It was Marie Curie. Who gave us Wi-Fi? The frequency hopping algorithm that is Wi-Fi. That was a woman. I forget her name. Yeah, she did. You're right. A very advanced cancer, unfortunately, took Marie Curie. Headley? Hold on. I'm going to look this up. Who invented Wi-Fi? Hedy Lamarr. It was Hedy Lamarr. At NASA, if you've seen the movie or read the book Hidden Figures, black women, female mathematicians at NASA sat in rooms and hand did mathematic calculations to send that thing right there into space. That's the Apollo 11, by the way, if you didn't know. That's Neil coming down the ladder. Couldn't have done that project. Would have taken longer. If we'd involved women in the beginning, it could have happened faster. That's the point. Like, I play a game, a time waster game, occasionally, on this very iPad that I'm filming on. Fallout Shelter. You've got your little. It's a post-apocalyptic, post-nuclear Armageddon game, and you've got your little dwellers in your shelter, and they collect resources, food and water and power, Um, and I tried something once just to see, just for fun. I put all of the women in the barracks. I didn't let them work in the power plant or in the kitchen. They did no work. They didn't leave uh, the shelter to go hunt or to go on missions. Only the men worked, and you can have three different vaults with your dwellers. That's it's the name of your shelter is a vault. I had three vaults going at that time, and they were all in the same difficulty setting. And I would cycle through. I would do all the missions that were available on one, and then I would switch to the next one. The one in which only the men worked routine was lagging way behind in resource production, in completion of missions, in gaining, in leveling up, and because the women couldn't, the women had weapons, so if there are things that can go wrong. You can have raiders attack, you can have aliens attack, you can have these giant rad roaches come out of the grates and in one room, and the women had weapons, so they could defend themselves. But because they never did anything, they didn't increase in level, so their ability to fight against attackers was even decreased. So that vault got overrun all the time. Whenever we got attacked, the bad guys would get much further than they did in the... The point is, if you exclude 50% of your population from doing anything, you're only going to be half as good. And now we can get into all DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are good things. You can't tell me that the most qualified black woman, the most qualified gay man, the most qualified Chinese person, the most qualified, pick anything other than a white cisgendered male. You can't tell me that the most qualified of any other category isn't better than the least qualified cisgendered white guy. And the people that are best at something, Handmaid's Tale, yeah, absolutely. The people that are best at something should be doing that thing, regardless of what their skin color is, regardless of what their genitalia is, regardless of what their sexual orientation or gender identification. We could be doing so much better. We could be doing so many more cool things if we stopped focusing on these things that should not matter. We could be doing so much better. And we're getting held back by some really backwards people, and it's really unfortunate. Yeah, a lot of our leaders are old white men. You're absolutely right. And Lovely Panacea. That's a wonderful name, by the way. A prime example actually just happened a couple of days ago. Or yesterday. Was it yesterday? One of Virginia's congressmen, representatives. Yeah, Fallout's a lot of fun. Who's the Congress? Virginia representative. Virginia representative died. Jerry Connolly, Democratic congressman of Virginia, not my district. I do live in Virginia. He's not my congressman. My representative, Jen Kiggins. She's fucking awful. She doesn't do anything, but she does make sure that she gets in the camera shot behind the Speaker of the House. That's about all she does. She sure as fuck doesn't do town hall meetings. I haven't seen her since she was running for Congress against Elaine Luria. But anyway, so Jerry Connolly, Democratic congressman of Virginia, died yesterday at the age of 75. Yeah, she's great. Now, it's unfortunate that the congressman passed away. He was battling cancer for quite a while. Here's what irritates, not just me, irritates a lot of people about Jerry Connolly. He was in Congress since 2009, I think. And he ran against, let me look this up. AOC runs now. Yes, 3 Democrats have died, and we lost a big beautiful bill vote by 1 vote. AOC versus Jerry Connolly. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is the Democratic representative from New York City. Yeah, she is awesome. She's great. I love her. She ran for to be the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, a very important position. And basically, the Democratic establishment in the House of Representatives said, yeah, so he's got seniority, so we're going to vote for him because it's his turn. And they knew he had cancer when they voted for him. Now, I'm not saying that by itself a cancer diagnosis is a reason to not vote for somebody. But if you have a man in his 70s who has cancer, and a woman in her, I think she's in her late 20s. How old is AOC? Doesn't matter. She's not fucking 75. She's old enough to be elected to the House of Representatives. She is smart. She is well-spoken, despite all those memes that go around every now and again. My favorite is the picture of AOC and the caption over her says, "Can I ask a stupid question?" I don't know that she's ever said that in a committee meeting in Congress. But can I ask a stupid question? And the response by some old white lady is, "Better than anybody I know." She doesn't ask stupid questions. If you actually watch any of the footage of AOC in committee meetings and hearings, she's very well spoken. She knows what she's doing. She doesn't fuck around. She is a straight shooter. You're right. So if your choices are for ranking member of the House Oversight Committee. A guy in his 70s who's battling cancer. And a young woman in her late 20s, early 30s, the picture of health, who's very popular with young people in your party. I can't, like, we gotta vote for him, it's his turn. Fuck that and fuck you. That doesn't make any sense. And I'm not saying that you should just vote for a young person just because they're young. But if they're capable, and if they're healthy, and if they're popular, and if they're smart, and if they're well funded, and all of the things that AOC is, you should vote for her. You should vote for that person. The old guy who's battling cancer and might have to miss meetings because he has to go to his oncology appointments. I'm sorry, sir. Maybe you should retire. Maybe Congress isn't where you should be anymore. Maybe at home with your family, treating your cancer is where you should be. I think Noel said it. No one shoots themselves in the foot like a Democrat. Well, yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's very true. It's disappointing because now they're gonna. I mean, maybe she'll get another shot at it now. Maybe that's the silver lining in this. I'm very sorry that man died, and I feel for his family. But he had the chance to do the right thing too. He had the chance to say, you know what, to the other members of his party, you know what, ladies and gentlemen. After further thought, maybe somebody that doesn't have cancer, somebody that isn't in their mid-70s, should be who we elect to this position. And unfortunately, that's going to be a part of his legacy. Not that that's the most important thing, but I can't imagine that's how you want to be remembered. Yeah, she's absolutely highly qualified. She was a community organizer. Did she go to a community college too? Like, she wasn't born with a silver spoon. She worked for the support that she got. And she has maintained it. She's got lots of people very excited about what she's doing. Yeah, waiting tables. Yeah, you're right. She was. Yeah. Oh, they tried to hold against her. The Republicans tried to hold against AOC the fact that she was a waitress. I'm sorry. If there's anybody that understands how shitty people can be, it's a waitress. Especially a reasonably attractive waitress. Because you know that she got harassed and just had to put up with it. She's seen people at their worst in public. And she still wanted to serve those people. That's admirable. We should admire her. I do. She's fucking awesome. She's great. I love AOC. She's aces in my book. By the way, I'm gonna, let me find this. I don't want to. There is in in Illinois' 9th district, there is a young woman running for Congress as a Democrat. Her name is Kat Abughazaleh. She is of Palestinian descent and worked for, she was a journalist. I forget who she was working for, and ended up getting fired or getting laid off. Not, she wasn't fired for cause or anything. But her whole thing was, I watch Fox News so that you don't have to. She is fantastic. She's running, like I said, for Congress in the 9th District of Illinois. Yeah. Kat for Illinois, KAT for Illinois.com. Or if you're on Blue Sky, at katmadu.bluesky.social. She's fantastic. She's already done several campaign events, and instead of just trying to raise money, she has asked people that come to her campaign events, like the first big one that she did was, she asked people that came to her events to, if they wanted to contribute monetarily to her campaign. Obviously she was okay with that, but she also asked that anyone coming bring period products, pads, tampons, etc. And they filled a couple of card tables full of period products to donate to a local, I think it was a local homeless shelter. The very first plank in her platform running for Congress is, what if we didn't suck? What if we did good things for people? What if we weren't just trying to do this to raise money? She's fantastic. I highly recommend her. I think she has her own YouTube channel as well. Hold on, let me see. Exactly, giving people what they actually need. And it's, I mean, here we go, Kat Abughazaleh. She does have her own YouTube channel. And it's a lot of good stuff, because she was, like I said, she was a journalist. She got laid off, and so she just kept, part of her thing was making videos talking about the crazy shit that she saw on Fox News. So when she got laid off, she just kept doing that on her own. And then she got hired by Mother Jones and was working for them. I don't know if she still is or not. But her YouTube channel is at Katmadu. KATMADU. I highly recommend it. She's hilarious. She's smart. And she's and she is running for Congress and trying to do good things for other people in the process. And I think more people, more candidates for public office should follow her example. I mean, it's fantastic. She's already been on MSNBC. She's been on CNN. She's been on News Nation. I should watch that one. That probably gets real dumb real fast. If you know anything about News Nation, they're real dumb. Oh man, 6 whole people in here now. Who's who came in just recently? Say hi. I want to know who's here. I can't see. I don't know how to do the thing on the iPad yet. Tell me who you are. Say hi. No? Okay. So, if I were to ever run for anything, her campaign, I would model my campaign after hers. Um, she's trying to build community. She's, like I said, she's trying to do good things, get people to donate to worthy causes, and it's, you know, so more power to her. I hope she gets elected. I think she and AOC would be thick as thieves and do good things together. I think that would be outstanding. If I lived in Illinois, if I lived in Chicago, I would absolutely vote for her. Because, yeah, she's got good things going for her. All right, I've rambled on for a little while. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want me to ruminate on that I haven't already? Kat's name, her first name is K-A-T. Her last name, I'll spell it slowly. It's Abughazaleh. Abughazaleh. And while she is of Palestinian descent, she is blonde and blue-eyed, so not necessarily what you would expect from somebody. And I don't know if she's fully Palestinian in her heritage or what, but you found it? Good. All right, lovely Panacea. You've commented on several of my videos. I think you've been a subscriber for a little while now. Is there you got anything you want me to talk about? I think at least 2 of the other people in watching right now are family members of mine, so they can get my opinions on something anytime. Thank you. I appreciate that. I had a good friend of mine ask me if I think I have enough energy to keep doing this for the next 3.5 years, and I've said it before. If people keep showing up, keep commenting, keep liking and sharing, then yeah, I think I will have the energy. And honestly, because I've had a couple of episodes that have gone moderately, not really viral, but like gotten over 1,000 views and a couple of hundred comments. And honestly, people coming at me with some, thank you. I'm doing my best. The people on the right coming at me like trying to attack my mustache or the way I look or the fact that I'm balding, like, yeah, I wish that wasn't the case, but there it is. Like people attacking my appearance instead of attacking my ideas or my positions on something, that actually fuels me too in a different way. Like I'm okay. Fuck you. I'm gonna verbally fight you because you're being dumb. So yeah, I appreciate everybody that participates and likes and comments. It's if I was just talking into the void and nobody was interacting, that would probably get old real fast. So I appreciate especially repeat commenters like yourself. lovely Panacea. I appreciate that. So let's talk about the whole cover up of President Biden's decline. Even though the guy that asked the question doesn't appear to be here, let's talk about it anyway. So Jake Tapper really disappointed me. He's got a book coming out or came out just recently or soon to be, talking about the apparent cover-up of cover-up of President Biden's physical and especially mental decline towards the end of his presidency. I'm a little disappointed in Jake, honestly. He's not the only person I'm disappointed in. We'll get there. But I'm a little disappointed in him because does the Democratic Party need to self-evaluate how they handled that? Yeah, unequivocally yes. Is airing it out like dirty laundry the best way to do that? Maybe. I don't know. Perhaps, 6, 12, 36 months from now, I might have a different point of view on it. But I kind of wish he hadn't done that. I kind of wish he hadn't written a book about that. Now, more than that, I'm frustrated with the people who apparently had the access to President Biden and had the ability and used their ability to limit his access or the access of other people to him so that people couldn't see him in his more vulnerable moments, in his declining mental state. Now, we've always known since he first started running for president that he had a stutter. And and that stutter definitely got worse when he was more nervous, when he was under more pressure. And his performance in the presidential debate was a fucking train wreck. There's no two ways about it. He was clearly very much aware of how important that debate was going to be, and I think put too much pressure on himself to try and be perfect, and that paralyzed him. And you could see with the very first answer to the very first question that he knew that he was not doing well right out of the gate, and that started the panic ball rolling down the hill, and it gathered steam and it just became an avalanche of, oh shit, I fucked up on that question, and now I have to be even more perfect on the next question, and then the next question comes and he's stumbling over himself, and he never recovered. And I felt bad for him, and I was angry at the same time. because there, if we learn anything from Bush, from W, George Bush Jr., there is absolutely a public speaking and an eloquency aspect that is very important to the presidency. You have to, as the leader of the free world, the most powerful man in the world, you have to be able to get up in front of a podium. You have to be able to get up in front of news reporters, and you have to be, or at a debate, and you have to be able to speak clearly and concisely and in complete sentences, and you can't trail off at the end and say, well, you know, like, and there definitely came a point in his presidency, in the Biden presidency, at which he couldn't do that anymore. He had some really good days. There was States of the Union that he did really well. There were speeches that he did really well, but when it came time to debate who should have been the easiest debate opponent in the world, a man who himself, Donald Trump, can't string together a coherent fucking sentence. It should have been as easy as make a clear, concise point, and then back to you, Donald, and letting him just self-destruct. And unfortunately, that's not what happened. And like I said, I felt, watching that debate, I felt horrible. I felt really bad for Biden, and I was angry at the same time. And it appears that there was a concerted effort by people close to him to try to hide the worst of his cognitive decline. This was not Eleanor Roosevelt signing signing bills into law for Franklin Delano Roosevelt in the end of his, and only taking photos from one side so you couldn't see that the other half of his face was drooping. This was not that, but it was still a cover-up. It was still hiding the fact that our president, Joe Biden, was losing his capabilities. And yeah, you're absolutely right. The Democratic Party needs to get it together. We need to figure our shit out. I would have loved for the Democratic Party to have a legitimate primary. I would have loved for President Biden to have said, you know what? I think I've done the best I can, but I'm getting old and there needs to be a changing of the guard, and we should have a robust primary. And anybody that from the Democratic Party that comes out of the primary absolutely should be able to beat the absolute fucking shit show that is Donald Trump. That should not have been a problem. Instead, he tried to run for a second term. And only when it was absolutely in blinking neon lights, Joe Biden, you can't do this anymore. You're it's done. Only when it got that bad did he bow out of the race. And by then it was too late to have a primary, and I the only real option at that point was for his vice president Kamala Harris, who was already a member of his campaign on the ticket. It made sense for her to be the nominee after that. Now, personally, she's who I want. She's who I wanted the first time. I was certain back in 2019 that Kamala Harris was going to be the next president of the United States. I was convinced of it. I thought I thought she was going to win that primary. Unfortunately, she didn't have a primary to prove herself again. To me, like I said, she was already my choice. She didn't need to prove anything to me. But she clearly needed to prove something to other people. And the fact that the Democratic Party did not have a primary for the 2024 election, it had a negative effect. And I'm pissed about it. I'm fucking furious. I really am. Because I really think if we had had a robust primary, that things would have gone differently. So that's what I would say to my former high school classmate. Are we going to talk about his decline? Yeah, it clearly happened. I'm pissed about it. I'm pissed that it was hidden from us. I'm pissed that we didn't have a primary. But here's the thing. And I'm gonna make this as crystal clear as I can. If Joe Biden had not dropped out, even after his objectively awful performance in the presidential debate, I would still, even now, knowing about his cancer diagnosis, if I had a crystal ball and could have seen that was going to happen, I would still, in the 2024 election, I would still have voted for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Because a man who is, admittedly, declining cognitively is still better than the absolute shit human being that is Donald Trump. An old man who is losing it mentally, but still trying to be a good person and trying to do the right thing. That's a very important office. I get that. Is still better than an objectively horrible person like Donald Trump. I would still vote today. If the election was held today, and everything we know about Joe Biden, his cognitive decline, his physical decline, and his cancer diagnosis, I would still, if there was an election held today, and it was Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, I would absolutely vote for Joe Biden. You don't side with evil. That's right. Donald Trump, at best, is a broken clock. He'll be right twice a day. Yes, exactly. Joe Biden is sincere and he gives a shit about other people. Has he made mistakes in his political career? Absolutely. Absolutely. And and I think he's admitted that. There are things he voted for as a senator, early, 80s and 90s. Um, yeah, everybody makes mistakes. There are things he voted for back then that he would not vote for today. And yeah, if you're waiting for the perfect, I think I said this in my very first or second episode. If you're waiting for the perfect candidate for anything, you're gonna be waiting forever. There's no such thing as a perfect candidate. I don't want to vote for the lesser of two evils. Guess what? You have to vote for the lesser of two evils. Because if you don't vote for the lesser of two evils, you know what you get? You get the worst fucking evil. You get Donald Trump. You get fucking Elon Musk on a stage with a chainsaw ready to cut through everything in the federal government, every program that's supposed to be doing well. Hey, we're about to start hurricane season. Do you know what are shutting down all across the country? Weather stations. That's going to be a problem soon. You know what else? Doge wants to cut, not just cut, shut down the Federal Emergency Management Association. You know, the people that show up after a hurricane with tents and bottled water and, along with the Red Cross and help get infrastructure back going again. That's what you get when you don't. Oh, yeah, cancer research. Yep. Yeah, and we're deporting children with cancer. If you don't vote for the lesser of two evils, then you get the more evil. That's what happens. Does that suck? Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if you could vote for the best of two good options? Yes, that would absolutely be better. But that's not always going to happen. And by the way, if you're trying to tell me that Kamala Harris, who was at the highest ranking person in the federal government, if you're trying to tell me that the sitting vice president, a former senator from California, a former attorney general for the state of California, isn't qualified to be president? What were Donald Trump's qualifications for his when he first ran? Firing Gary Busey on the fucking Apprentice? Building apartment buildings in New York City? Beating the shit out of Vince McMahon on WWE? Like, she's not qualified? He was not qualified. And yeah, he was president already once. But before that, he wasn't fucking qualified. Yeah, bankrupting businesses, including fucking casinos in Atlantic City. It's not like he bankrupted casinos in the middle of fucking Nebraska nowhere. Atlantic City. You know what else they have there? Other casinos. And a boardwalk. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting... Let me just chill a bit. If you don't vote for the lesser of two evils, you'll get pure fucking evil. And that's what we have. That's what we have. Harassing Macaulay Culkin. Yeah. Kevin McAllister, I think is who you mean. But yes. All right. Well, it's been over 90 minutes now. Over 106 minutes now. I wasn't sure how long this was going to go. I wasn't sure how smoothly it was going to go. I wasn't sure if it was going to go. Hey, I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoy. As I've said many times, I'm not necessarily an expert. If I have an area of expertise as submarine operations, classified information, which I mentioned in previous episodes, I will tell you that. I'll let you know. But yeah, mostly I'm just a guy with Beyonce's electric internet at my disposal, and I'm just trying to tell it like it is. Excuse me. Whew. All right, I think I'm gonna bring this to a close. Does anybody have anything they want me to? Any parting shots? Yes, you're absolutely right. We have a voice. We have to use it. And there's nothing wrong with letting other people be the expert. I don't have to be an expert on airplane construction or airplane operation to get on an airplane and fly to Dallas. Right? We can let other people be the experts, and we should listen to experts, and we shouldn't be firing them from the CDC. Just everybody out of the pool. That is not a way to run a country. We are gonna have so much work to do in 3.5 years when this guy leaves office. I mean, hopefully America wakes up a little bit, and in the midterm elections we can take back control of the House and get ourselves a better majority in the Senate, and we can impeach this piece of shit president for any number of things and remove him from office. Although, then that puts JD fucking Vance in office. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't do something impeachable real quick too. Anyway, we're gonna have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do already, and taking back the House is definitely part of it. All right, I can feel my throat starting to do throaty things. And I've finished my beer. So, it is almost 11 o'clock on the East Coast. Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating and commenting and liking and all that. I think maybe I'll do live episodes like once a month. Like every fourth episode will be a live episode. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, this was fun. I like this. This is a good time. Until next time, keep your powder dry, and if, like me, you understand that voting for the lesser of two evils is what you gotta do, keep your quiet rage. And good night, my fellow Americans. Should I play the outro? Should I play the music on the way out? Hold on, I gotta turn my volume back up. Here we go. Nope, it's not there. What do I do? Oh, here we go. There you go. All right, good night, everybody. Thanks for participating. Good night, Neil. That's Neil Armstrong right there. All right, see you next time.